Welcome, Denise and Scott, to Bird Chat tonight.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you everyone for having us. We're very excited to be here this evening. So I'm Denise, and this is Scott, and we live in the Albany area of New York State. And tonight we would like to discuss birding in the greater capital region. So we're going to be concentrating on the 11 counties in Kingbird Region 8, which is which includes Albany County, Schenectady, Rensselaer, Saratoga, Washington, Warren, Fulton, Montgomery, Schoharie, Columbia, and Greene. And we will not cover all of those counties tonight, but we will cover a few select of our favorite places to go. Generally, the region is along the Hudson and Mohawk rivers, and generally along I-87 and I-90 areas. Okay, so if you are interested in learning more about these places and many other places, because like I said, we're just going to scratch the surface, we do have a Birding New York's Hudson Mohawk Region book available, and you can order that at hmbc.net, Hudson Mohawk Bird Club website. Okay, so generally, can you see my cursor here? Yeah, I think you can. We're going to be, so here's Albany County, and the region generally goes from up here, Washington and Warren, down to Saratoga, and then over to Fulton and Montgomery, and down, to Greene and Columbia. Okay, we're going to start tonight at one of our very favorite places to bird. This is Five Rivers Environmental Education Center in Del Mar, New York. This is about 15 miles or so, 10, 15 miles from Albany. 450 beautiful acres, a variety of habitat, including woodlands, fields, brushy areas, ponds and streams. They have 228 species of birds, and approximately 71 of them are breeding. The center opened in 1972, and this beautiful brand new visitor center was just built in 2017.
If I could add a point.
Yep.
And promptly after it was built, the killdeer started nesting on the roof, and they nest there every year. And I was there this morning, and they're up there now. They've already been mating, and hopefully in a couple of weeks, the little ones will be running around the edge of the parking lot and right in front of the visitor center.
So they have a green roof there. It's really kind of neat. Okay, so here are just two examples of a couple of the habitats there: the pond areas and the field. And Five Rivers is a great place to go in any season, including winter. There are bird feeders there where, that just makes it a lot easier just to, if you want to, you can even look at the birds from inside the visitor center in the warm comfort of the visitor center. This winter, Five Rivers was a very good place to go to see some of the wintering finches, including the common redpoll here. There have been roosting eastern screech owls there. This one was roosting for several years in the same pileated woodpecker hole in an old broken down tree. And it stayed there actually throughout the construction of the new trail that was being constructed right next to it. It was a very photogenic little animal. We can see both kinglets, the golden crowned and the ruby crowned, at Five Rivers. And in the wooded areas, of course, we often hear, and sometimes are lucky enough to actually see the beautiful ovenbird. Eastern kingbirds are quite common here along the pond edges. And there's a beautiful orchard at Five Rivers, lots and lots of crabapple trees, and can pretty much guarantee to see the Baltimore Oriole, and more frequently now, the orchard Oriole as well. They're becoming pretty established there at Five Rivers. Eastern bluebirds are common throughout the year. They have a very active nest box program at Five Rivers, and the population is very stable. So both red-tailed hawks and also songbirds like this house wren are very easy to see, and often we'll use the perching on the bluebird boxes. And as spring progresses and gets warmer and closer to summer, we'll see vireos, including this blue-headed vireo. It's a very lovely place to see birds of all kinds. Nashville warbler. And as we mentioned, there are several wetland areas, lots of ponds and marshes, and green heron breeds there at Five Rivers, so they're quite common and easy to see. And now I'm going to turn it over to Scott to talk about some of our favorite places along the Mohawk River and Hudson River.
Okay, so moving north a little bit into Saratoga County. This is that's the Erie Canal there at a place called the Vischer Ferry Nature and Historic Preserve. It's the Mohawk River is about a half a mile to the right down the path there. This is a popular, largely spring birding site. It gets kind of overgrown in the summer, and the flies get really bad, but this is a really good time of year right now to go. There's a lot of ducks on the ponds, which should still be pretty open, and other water birds as well. That was a shoveler in my previous slide, and such as this pied-billed grebe. So moving a little bit down the Mohawk, the city of Cohoes, which is about 5 miles north of Albany. Here, this is the mighty Mohawk River, and that's Cohoes Falls. And this is a really, really great place in 2 seasons. First, in the winter, just a couple miles stretch of the Mohawk above and below the falls, you can get 10 or 15 or even 20 sometimes bald eagles concentrated in that area. There's open water in the winter, and it's a really, really great place to see them. And the other thing to look for in the winter are gulls. In addition to the 3 common species, there's usually an Iceland, such as the one shown here, and a glaucus, and a lesser blackback gull found somewhere in that stretch of the Mohawk. In the summertime, particularly the latter half of the summer, the water levels are a bit lower, and this is a place just maybe a mile downstream from the falls called Cohoes Flats, and there's a lot of small pools as the water levels go down, and you get birds such as the great egret there. I'm not sure that it and the fawn really knew what to make of each other, but the egrets and the herons, such as this great blue, come in and feed in the kind of the concentrating food supply in the little ponded areas between the rocks that as they dry out. It's also a good place for shorebirds, such as this lesser yellowlegs. And we don't have a lot of shorebird habitat up here in the Albany area, and Cohoes Flats is probably the best spot, and you see a lot of birders concentrated there in probably off and on during August and into early September. And keep an eye overhead as peregrines and some other raptors will often be flying through the skies up there. So the Mohawk just kind of just downstream from Cohoes, the Mohawk merges with the mighty Hudson, and the Hudson really bisects the whole capital region north to south. This is a view right at the Corning Preserve in the city of Albany, and a really good time to bird the Hudson is kind of late winter, early spring, as the waterfowl are moving north, and the timing is a little bit. I mean, migration is obviously driven by photo period, day length, but the actual kind of day-to-day or even week-to-week timing seems to be affected more by whether the ice has gone out of the river, and sometimes there's good concentrations of waterfowl kind of while they're waiting for the river to thaw, and sometimes the river thaws kind of early and they tend to go through. But any time from kind of late February, at least through March, is a really good chance to scan the river from a wide variety of vantage points, from places in the more southern part of the region, such as Catskill or the Coxsackie boat launch, Ravenna, Henry Hudson Park, just south of Albany, and then up into Saratoga County, places like Mechanicville and Stillwater. So things like the species such as ringneck duck and hooded merganser. They're a little surprised to see hooded merganser out on the river. Usually they're in the ponds and small streams, but we do get them out there sometimes. Yeah, before I leave this part of Saratoga, or this was actually, I think, at Stillwater, I'm sure a lot of folks who are on came up to Saratoga County about a month ago chasing the tundra bean goose. And I'm sorry that we do not have a picture of the tundra bean goose because we missed it by 10 minutes. So no sighting, no picture, and just have to hope for another one sometime. There are several areas within the region that are higher elevation, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 feet. There's some in eastern Rensselaer County, the Rensselaer Plateau, the northern parts of Saratoga County and parts of Warren County, and also southwestern Albany County, such as here. This is John Boyd Thatcher State Park. And you get some higher elevation breeding birds such as Canada warbler up here. And one year, we actually had a Townsend solitaire, and I know some folks, even from Long Island, came up to see that. So moving about 50 miles north to the kind of the northern reaches of the capital region, we have the Washington County grasslands, which are specifically or mainly in the town of Fort Edward in kind of western Washington County, just east of the Hudson River. And again, about 50 miles north of us here in Albany. And this has been a really good winter wintering raptor birding area, a place that we've been going for probably 30 years, and I'm sure people did before I moved to the area. But we're really, really encouraged over the last several years that more and more land has been bought up and has become a New York State wildlife management area. And it's a great, great spot in many, many winters to go and look for short-eared owls. And they tend to be out and flying around often by mid-afternoon on even on sunny days. And there's often 20 or 30 or even more photographers just lined up along one road there. And one of the places, if you want to just jot a note down, is Plum, Plum Road is a really, really good spot there. Other places are Fitzpatrick Road, Black House Road, and for other raptors, Cary Road. And within the protected grasslands, they're diving down and chasing after meadow voles and other prey. And I think we went there maybe 6 or 8 or 10 times this year, and often saw upwards of a half dozen. And some years there are snowy owls up there, although they can kind of pop up really anywhere. This one actually was on a college building in Troy, New York, but they've been up at Fort Edward as well. Fort Edward is good for rough-legged hawk and northern harrier, and it's the other time to go there is in the summer, and it's just a very, very beautiful area, and the grasslands are good for savanna sparrow, meadowlark, and other species, and just a couple of other grasslands in Saratoga County. There's the Saratoga Battlefield, part of the Saratoga National Historical Park, the National Park Service. And that's a great spot for bobolink right along the tour road that you can drive on. And at the small Saratoga County Airport is right near the fence of the parking area, is good for grasshopper sparrow, shown here, and horned lark. So the last place, and I hope we're okay with time, the last place we want to just touch on is one that's about 7 miles from where we live, in kind of in almost central Albany County here, is the Albany pine bush. And this is a globally rare, nationally significant, and locally distinct area. And it's a pitch pine scrub oak habitat. And both Denise and I are volunteer naturalists there, so we spend a lot of time there. And it's set aside to protect the federally endangered Corner blue butterfly. But it's also and the butterflies are doing really, really well, by the way, so that's great. It's also a good birding spot. There's not the variety of habitat that Five Rivers has, but it has the scrubby pine barrens habitat, and you have species such as the eastern towhee and prairie warbler, and they're banded and studied extensively there. The prairie warblers are, and it's a good spot to count common nighthawks in their southbound migration in late August. And our Hudson Mohawk Bird Club runs about a 5-day nighthawk watch every August there. And this, I'll just close with this. This winter, there have been part of the great winter finch eruption there've been Red Cross bills in various portions of the Pine Bush Preserve. And over the last at least couple of weeks, the the they have been coming down to drink at a large puddle right at the end of what's called Madison Avenue Extension. It's right by one of the trailheads of the Pine Bush, and a lot of people have been able to go and get photos and get really nice looks at these. And we've gotten really interested in their bills and which way they cross and questions regarding that. And that's something that we're continuing to read about. So with that, we'll say again, Anne and everyone, thank you so much for having us in tonight. We look forward to coming down and meeting people in person in September at the annual meeting of the Sawmill River Audubon. We'll be giving a program, a bird conservation program, which is called Unbroken Wings, a story of birds and the people who saved them, talking about some of the challenges that have been overcome, some of the failures, and some of the continuing issues facing bird populations.